Welcome to WildOhio Podcast. Today we have a pretty full episode. I'm here with my co-host,
Abby.
And Jordan.
The same old, but we do have three guests today. We're going to talk with Mike Gregg from TIP, which is Turn-in-a-Poacher program. We're also going to talk to Josh Shields from the Ohio Division of Wildlife, and we have Clint McCoy on, right?
Yeah, Clint's going to give us a little deer update, I think.
Perfect. But first, we're here with Mike. Mike, thanks for coming in.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you.
So,
Glad to have you.
Mike, what position are you in the TIP program?
I'm the president of Turn-in-a-Poacher. I don't know how many years I've been doing that, but long time.
A long time.
Long time.
Can you
How
give
long's
us,
the program been
Yeah.
around?
Since 1982, the program's been here. It started kind of rough, and then it picked up. But Jerry Scott and Bob Askew was the founders of TIP.
So
and
42
everything.
years.
So that's good.
Wow.
42 years.
Yeah, so we've been going strong. We've been doing a lot of stuff, paying a lot of rewards out.
So can you give our listeners the blanket overview of what TIP or Turn-in-a-Poacher program is?
What we do is when a wildlife officer makes an arrest and he goes to court with a criminal or whatever you want to call him, but anyhow, poacher. But anyhow, after it goes through the court systems, and they send us the paperwork, and we review it, and we determine how much we pay out. We will pay out anywhere from $100 to $599. If I pay after like $600, you're going to pay taxes on that. You don't want to do that.
So you're looking out for folks.
Yeah, we're trying to look out after you guys.
Okay.
So when you say we, who is we?
That's the tip board. That's
Okay.
the tip board. We are a 501c3, and we have to make a report to the state every year. And but that's the way it is. And once we make that determination how much you would get, we would the wildlife officer on his form, he would put in there either or money order or in person. Myself personally, I like to meet the individual I'm giving them money to, but a lot of times people don't want to do that. So we send out the money order in a white envelope, and it has a little bit of a return address on it. And sometimes we get them back because wildlife officers sometimes didn't understand what the guy was saying about the addresses. And that hurts a little bit.
That's probably just a Fayette County issue.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on
Oh, yeah,
now.
it has
That
to
ain't
be.
right.
Sounds-
Clean those ears out,
That
John.
actually checks out, Mike. So I think that one of the things, a lot of times you're receiving this and there's a tip hotline, and
Right.
that hotline actually comes to our comm center, and that's how we receive
Right.
a lot of these tips. But the tips also come in, John, you can speak to this better, but the tips also come in from our county officers. So he or she may receive a tip on their phone, which is listed on the back of the regs, and then that officer can turn in or recommend that person that called that tip in be nominated for the board to review for
Right.
the possibility of a reward. That's a
Correct.
pretty cool program, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good program. We enjoy it. There's a lot of people out here that don't understand what TIP does, but we do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It sounds like it.
The reporting system. So for us, like you said, it can come into our TIP hotline, but it also someone could stop me on the field and give me some information. It doesn't have to be. It could be a small tip that leads to a big case. It could be a lot of information up front. At the end of the day, the officers, when that case is closed, they then can submit the tip, the request to
Right.
the tip board, and they review that based off the information that our county officers are putting in there. And it's a breakdown normally of, and Mike, correct me if you're wrong, you guys are looking at what were the violations that the individuals were charged for, maybe what the potential fines were there restitution values, confiscations, things like that, right?
Also, we look what the informant done for the wildlife officer, like videoing the instance or taking pictures, stuff like that would help you guys out quite a bit. So we hear about that stuff.
Yeah, perfect.
And those tips are paid out through donation, or I'm assuming there's probably some situations where prosecutors or judges in certain counties are actually recommending restitution from the violator, and you're receiving those monies as well to be able to put forth and put back into the community, right?
Yes, we do, but it has to take the game protector to talk to the prosecutor that we like to have something for a tip, like a reward or something for money, restitution.
Is there a website you'd like to plug that if anyone's listening to this and they'd be interested in donating some money for this?
We don't have a website. It's just 1-800-POACHER. That's all we have.
Okay, and they can call 1-800-POACHER and find out where to send
where to send
a donation
money
to if they were so inclined.
You guys operate as a 501c3, so you're a separate entity from the Division
Oh,
of
yeah,
Wildlife.
we're way away from you guys.
Right. And that's, if I'm correct in this is how anonymity can be achieved.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. So at that point in time, when we do get that call or complaint, people can ask, is this anonymous complaint? And then that's all documented in the aspect of, for these guys, they are a different entity. So when you ask us about things, hey, TIP is the one issuing these rewards. They're the ones handling all that, not the county officer.
Right.
Yeah.
The way I understand, the county officers cannot handle any money.
Yeah,
So
for sure. We can't do that.
we that's where we come in at. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You guys also set up normally at the outdoor sports show or what
in
people
March.
commonly refer to as the Deer and Turkey Expo.
Yes. It's now called Sportsman something or other, but yeah, we've been doing that for many, many years. We used to do another one at the state fairgrounds, but we got out of that business because it's just too much for people like us. Some of my people are working, so.
Well, you're all volunteers. The
we're
board
all
The TIP
volunteers.
is all volunteers.
Yep, every one of them.
Yep.
And that's pretty good because they do a lot of other stuff too. And they go to their county fair and talk about TIP. They have a display sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a trailer that we send around different parts of the state. I think it's in Alkin County now. It has all kind of stuff on it, like some poaching pictures that was taken and stuff like that. And we're bringing out some trinkets when we do that. So anyhow, that's what we do.
If somebody is interested in becoming involved with TIP, how would they get in contact with you or express interest in being part of the board or just attend events?
I think the best way, Abby, that people can do that is because we have volunteers through the TIP board and they're kind of sprinkled across the state, but you have a county officer in every county. We work closely with TIP. We can get a hold of these guys. So if you're interested in either making donations or contacting TIP directly, we can point you in that right direction by contacting your county officer would probably be the best way. Don't you think, Mike?
Oh, yeah, that's the best way to get a hold of them. That's the only good way to get a hold of them because we're all, like he says, we're all scattered around the state of Ohio, and I'm in and out everywhere. So the best way to talk to your county officer. And if you'd like to come to the board meeting, we have to set that up because it's an anonymous meeting. And we don't like anybody else in there knowing what we're doing because it's all anonymous.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I was able to sit in on the last board meeting. And, Mike, you said when we were talking before, what was the payout? You paid out to how many tips came in?
We paid out 16 tips at $3,200 some odd dollars.
Yeah, for the total.
For the total, grand total. And after that meeting, 2 days later, the money went out by all money order out to the persons who's receiving them throughout the state.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Well, Mike, I think that this is a good conversation to have with folks who are talking about the fall season and they're going to be out hunting themselves. They might see things. They might hear things. This is an excellent opportunity for folks. Hey, remind you, call into the TIP hotline, call your county officer. Really, our best cases are made by information gathered from members of the public, for sure.
And a good way to do that is if you can get pictures, photographs, or video of the license number of the vehicle and what they're doing, that'd be great. That'd be wonderful. That'd help the county officers great.
Very good. Well, it's a great program, and it really incentivizes folks to self-govern the resource, which is important.
Oh, yeah.
And really, at the end of the day, you guys do a fantastic job of helping us protect the resource. So really appreciate you coming in today.
No problem.
It was good to see you again.
Good thing I was in the area.
You know, hey,
Yes,
worked
thank
out
you.
nicely. So,
Thanks, Mike.
Right.
Thanks a
Thanks
lot,
for coming
Mike.
in.
Have a great day.
So now we have a guest who's come back. I think he might be our first repeat guest, Clint. So we have Clint McCoy, deer biologist here with the Ohio Division of Wildlife, to do a little update on whitetails, and specifically, we're talking about EHD.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Really glad to be back.
So Give us a rundown. I used the term EHD, what that stands for, what that means.
All right, EHD, it's a long one. Epizootic hemorrhagic disease.
Say that 5 times fast.
No joke.
So a lot of times within the biologist circles, we just refer to it as HD, just because there are a couple of different types of hemorrhagic disease. Some people probably heard of blue tongue. That's a type of hemorrhagic disease. When we are typing our diseases here in Ohio, we do not typically see blue tongue virus as showing up as our in our hemorrhagic disease surveillance. It's mostly EHD, or epizootic hemorrhagic disease.
Okay.
And so the basics is it's a viral disease of deer, it's most common disease of deer in the United States, and it is passed on by a midge. It's an insect, a small fly that carries the virus, and once they bite the deer, they can pass the virus on to the deer. And so it is not a deer-to-deer disease. It has to be transmitted through the bite of an infected midge.
So when the bite occurs, what happens to the deer?
Within 7 to 10 days, usually they will start to show symptoms of disease. And so those symptoms with EHD are typically very high fever. And so because of the high fever, it affects their mental capabilities. So they will appear maybe behaving oddly. They may be disoriented, show little fear of humans a lot of times. They might have some swelling in their head and neck areas. They might have, even some bloody discharge from their nose or mouth. Because what the hemorrhagic disease does is it causes internal hemorrhaging within the animal. And a lot of times that happens within the lungs. And so they may show some of that discharge through their mouth and nose.
Wow.
So I would assume at that point that's not as bad as it gets. They will kill the deer?
It does.
Okay.
Particularly in the upper latitudes of the U.S., in the Midwest, where deer have not, evolutionarily, have not been exposed to the virus for that long.
Gotcha.
Compared to deer in other regions of the country, so particularly in the South, where deer are exposed to EHD there, they show some immunity to the disease, and it does not always kill them.
That's fascinating.
So they can survive EHD. A deer can get this bite and then survive.
In the South, yes, where they've been, they're evolutionarily, they have the antibodies necessary to fight off the viral infection.
Okay.
Because deer in the northern latitudes have been exposed less frequently and more recently, they don't typically have the immunity they need to fight off the virus, and it does kill them relatively quickly. So once they experience symptoms,
right,
7 to 10 days after exposure, it will typically kill them within 3 days.
Oh, wow.
That must be a difficult site to walk up on if you are a hunter.
Yeah, when are folks going to be encountering, more likely than not? When are they going to see these deer that are affected by it? When are they going to find these deer dead?
So time of year is going to be late summer, early fall, typically. Right now, we actually started getting some reports consistent with HD infection early on. Early in July, which is pretty early for us. We have HD pretty much every year at some parts of the state, but we typically don't see those reports start coming in about sick deer until August, September. So this was a pretty early start in 2025 for EHD season. People often find them in water or around water sources, creeks, ponds. And that is because of the high fever. The deer are seeking to cool off.
Yeah.
Also, because they're hemorrhaging internally, they're extremely dehydrated. So, not only can they go there to cool off, but they may be, feeling like they need, more hydration.
Yeah, which hunters, we're used to that. You have a deer that has an injury or a shot, and you're looking for it. They often look towards water. Okay.
So we brought you on for this show because it's the time of year that we're starting to get reports. It's also the time of year where deer hunters are getting ready for the season and checking things out. And I imagine there's a level of frustration that comes if you happen upon a deer.
Does it affect adults, juvenile deer, bucks, does? It doesn't really discriminate.
It does not.
Yeah, that's got to be a tough one when you walk up, especially if it's something you're looking forward to, and you go out to set trail cameras or tree stands and you're finding dead deer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I've received a couple of photos already this year of some really really nice bucks that are not going to be available this fall.
So what are we asking, or what can we have? I guess hunters, what can they do when they're in the field?
So if they come across deer that have died or are acting abnormally, appear feverish or sick, we want to know about it. And so we have a way to track HD, and it's through public reports. People can go on our website, ohiodnr.gov/EHD, and they can find a link to a wildlife reporting page. And so on that reporting page, folks, we take reports of all kinds of wildlife sightings, but on that reporting page, you can select the species that you're reporting. And if you select deer, there's options for you to report how many deer you found, where you found them, in what condition you found them in, whether they were near water, which is a clue for us to, whether it was an HD kill or not, and provide comments on your sightings. And so we log those. So if you log those on the website, then we go in and we pull all of that information pretty much on a weekly basis during the HD season, so that we can update our files and update the maps and figure out provide that information back to the public to let them know where we're seeing this and where they need to be on the lookout for reporting.
So when they go to the report, is that all something they can see too? Because this is affected a region last year that's nowhere near the region we're seeing it in an uptick this year, right?
Correct.
Okay. So can they see that? Do they see the map on where, I'm in Fayette County, and I guess I haven't really looked at the map, but do we have EHD popping up already? I haven't had any reports myself as the officer.
Yeah, so once if you visit the webpage, our EHD landing page, there will be a map available where you can see where reports have come in, as well as you can see the counties in which we've sampled deer from and detected presence of HD with tests run through the laboratory.
Okay.
One question I have for people who are learning about this for the first time and don't really have a huge understanding of it, is this something humans need to worry about?
No, this is strictly a deer
disease.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, deer and other ruminants. So some livestock can be somewhat affected by some HD viruses, but it is not nearly as a concern as it is for deer.
Okay.
And when do we see, I guess, the drop off? Because, this is the time of year we're starting to see HD. There's also kind of a point where we stop seeing it, right?
Yeah, it's very cyclical. And the trigger point is cold weather, the onset of frost, which inactivates the vector, the thing that's spreading the disease around. Once we get a frost, it basically inactivates those midges and the disease essentially just stops at that point.
Okay. What else, I guess, if from a county officer position, folks can call their county officer, we can help guide them to the website that you were talking about. And sampling wise, how does that go about, the sampling?
So you are correct. If someone is not familiar with how to report, don't let that stop you, because they're, just contacting one of our officers, they will guide you, or maybe even take the report for you.
Yeah.
But the sampling. So once we have detected it in a county, we typically stop sampling. We continue taking reports so that we can gauge the severity of the outbreak.
Yeah.
But once we know EHD is present in that area, there's not a whole lot of reason for us to continue sampling those deer because
we know it's there.
It's this time of year. The deer died near water. It died quickly. There's no other evidence of trauma. It's almost certain that it's EHD.
Well, I don't want to spend too much of your time today, Clint, but I do have a question about like long-term effects. We've been having EHD in Ohio for years now.
Correct.
And are we seeing a long-term herd effect that it's seeing in the in deer?
No, that's a good question. EHD is temporary. It has a temporary effect.
Okay.
When you can't say that it doesn't really affect deer herds because when people see many deer carcasses on the landscape, they're thinking it has to affect deer populations, and it does, but it's temporary.
Yeah.
So the biggest example or the most recent example I can think of where we saw that temporary impact was in 2017. We had a very severe outbreak in Jefferson County. Oddly, the disease was almost contained within the county.
Really?
And so we had hundreds of deer reported to us. Yeah, many more probably dead that were unreported, of course. But and we saw a drastic impact to our herd monitoring indices. It went 2017. They went through the floor. They just crashed, as you might expect. Lots of dead deer. It has an impact in that season, but it doesn't kill all the deer.
Yeah.
And within 3 years, our herd indices were back to where they were prior to the disease outbreak. So it does impact the herd numbers wise, but it's a short-lived impact.
But I guess
relatively.
That's a positive thing to think about Ohio deer herd is at a healthy enough place that it's going to take a little hit, but it's going to bounce back.
It will definitely bounce back.
Well, I guess, what was that website? Just so if folks out there, if you are out setting trail cameras, whatever, on the property and you see deer, you guys can hit this website up. It's going to get that information. It's the EHD landing page. And then you can report deer there or contact your county officer. What was that page again, Clint?
OhioDNR.gov/EHD.
Very good. Anything else you want to touch on while you're here, Clint?
I don't think so. I mean, I understand the concern that people have. So right now we're seeing a pretty significant mortality event in southeastern Ohio, particularly eastern Athens County, western Washington County.
Yeah.
That can cause a lot of concern, and understandably so, especially when you see the deer that you were hoping to have a chance to harvest this fall and find them dead. That's a hard pill to swallow. People have lots invested in their properties, maybe for managing for deer, and then when this thing happens, it kind of maybe seems like it's all for naught, right? So we are certainly empathetic to those people that are experiencing significant impacts to something they love. The only thing I can say is be patient, maybe. They will bounce back. They will come back. But it is a tough pill to swallow when you're in the throes of it.
Okay. There was something now that I'm thinking when you were giving me a little prep talk, something that like a hunter can do is maybe curb their attitudes toward the upcoming season. If they had a bunch of deer or have seen a reduction in the deer herd in their county, maybe take that into account. If you're normally going out there to shoot your 3 deer, maybe not shoot your 3 deer.
Right. And again, this is a disease that happens that can happen at a very, very local scale. So we're talking like a part of a county or a township here and a township there.
Wow.
It's not going to be a widespread disease, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Typically, we might see some EHD in other parts of the state any given year, but the heavy outbreaks are typically pretty local. And the one thing that we didn't really touch on very much was, what can we do about it?
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, there is no cure or vaccination that we can do for a while,
Right.
for in the wild deer herd. And so there's not a whole lot that we can do to stop it. But we can respond to it. And when I say we can respond to it, I mean, hunters can respond to it in a way that hunters are the ultimate deer managers.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are deciding to pull the trigger. And in a case like this, it's important to be aware of what's happened, be aware of what you're seeing. And if things seem worrisome, then maybe you have to show some restraint in what you harvest for the coming season.
Well, I appreciate you coming in, Clinton, and giving us that update, because I know it's on everybody's mind when they start seeing those deer. And from us officers, we're getting the calls and people want to know what's going on. So This is great to get it from you.
Yep.
No, glad to be here.
Yeah, appreciate
Thanks for coming back.
It's awesome.
So we're back, and our next guest is Josh Shields. Josh, what is your title?
I'm the District 1 Law Operations Manager. I oversee the law enforcement section for Central Ohio. That includes 13 counties and supervise 15 wildlife officers in my district.
Okay. I had the pleasure of working with you quite a bit when I was at District 1, so it's good to see you again.
Yep, nice to see you. I'm glad you guys invited me to be here.
Absolutely.
So how did you what was your career path to where you are now?
Well, I grew up in a hunting and fishing family, mostly small game. Much different than the hunting culture today. My family pretty much strictly rabbit hunted, and that was my door into the outdoors. The only thing I ever really wanted to be was a game warden, so I guess that stereotypical path, I joined the National Guard right out of high school to pay for my college, went to Hocking College, got a wildlife management degree there, started volunteering with the Division of Wildlife. I did 2 seasonals with wildlife management, got hired on full-time eventually. And I'll say one important thing there is I volunteered a lot of hours, hundreds of hours. I was fortunate enough to be able to do that because the National Guard paid for all my school. I didn't have to work. So I volunteered a lot of time with the Division of Wildlife. Got hired full-time at Tri-Valley Wildlife Area in Zanesville, where I worked full-time there for about 3 years, and got into the academy in 2009. It was my second attempt, so I didn't get in my first try, but stuck with it. And it's all about really getting your foot in the door and meeting people and getting your name out there and marketing yourself. At least then, that was, I feel like, really important to my path, was just building those relationships. And and people begin to trust you and know who you are and what kind of work ethic you have. And at the end of the day, you got to score high enough on that test when you take it and interview good enough to get a chance to get hired. So,
yeah, that's something that keeps coming up, and we've talked about this. We talked about this with Jim Quinlivan when we did the special episode for becoming a wildlife officer. But, the volunteering and just how important that is, and also just sticking with it. And these things all resonate in all of our stories and how we got here, all the way back to our first episode with Chief Wecker.
Yeah.
It's really important to show up and show that you're excited about being part of the team, because it is a highly sought after career path.
So you were in the 2009 class. Does that mean you were with John Kaufman?
He was one of the lesser officers in that class. I'm sorry. Just messing with
John
you.
and I were classmates in the academy.
Yeah. Back in the
I probably
day.
took it a little more serious than he did, but
He was coming. He was coming out of the army.
I can see that being.
Josh had an army vibe to him in the academy for sure. And so the other thing we have in common is we both were seasonals at Wolf Creek Wildlife Area down in District 4 as well. So Josh and I kind of have.
You have a history.
We worked for the great Danny Smith when he was still around.
Danny
was a wildlife manager there, area manager. He's a great guy.
Shout out to the Wolf Creek Wildlife Area, the hardest working wildlife area in the state. That's what they used to say to us. What
was your right out of Cadet Academy? What county were you assigned to?
My first assignment was Meigs County. I was living in Zanesville at the time. I didn't grow up in Southern Ohio, but when I went to Hocking, I moved to Southern Ohio. I spent 12 years there, between school and working with the division. But Meigs County, I spent 3 years there. A great county to be a game warden in. Lots of work to do. There's always stuff going on. I really learned a lot in that county. wasn't a great county, for a wife that's not from that area, and I had small kids, I was starting a family at the time. So I was afforded the opportunity to transfer back up to where we're from. I took a transfer to Union County, where I spent, I guess, probably the next 8 years, and got promoted to a field supervisor. And then about 3 years ago, I got promoted again to the position I'm in now, running the district law program.
Boss John around.
I mean, we're really fortunate because, and this comes back to hiring and the career path, and we hire great people.
Yeah.
And they for the most part supervise themselves. I like to my job is pretty easy. Like we keep the train on the tracks. We coach, we provide guidance, we motivate. We don't do a lot of intense managing of personnel like in some positions you would have to do, because our people, they have a high level of responsibility, a high level of liability. We give them, expensive equipment. We
give them the tools to succeed and the training to succeed, for sure.
And they have to manage all that and manage the risk of handling that responsibility. So we're just there to kind of keep the train on the tracks.
So what we're excited to have you on this episode about is that it is September, and we are leading up into, I'm sorry, it's August. I'm in the wrong month.
It is. You're okay.
It's August. That's all right. But we're leading into September and the start of the 25-26 hunting season. And I can't stress enough how important it is, the work that our law enforcement, all our staff do in preparation for hunting season. But the reality is that the law side is the one that you're most likely to interact when you're out recreating on our wildlife areas with. And I just wanted to be able to give you the opportunity to kind of speak the truth to encountering a game warden and the positivity, the positive things that come from that, and all the information you can actually gain in a quick conversation. I always tell folks, if you have questions about where the fish are biting, where a good population of rabbits may be, your county game warden is a wealth of knowledge. And you just spoke to this. Highly motivated, really good, forward-facing interaction, and that's why they're there. That's why you all do what you do. So if you just speak a little bit more to that, but you've seen it on both sides with planting dove fields and then also enforcing rules and regulations on the dove fields.
Yeah, I think it's important for your listening public to understand that what wildlife officers do is a very unique style of law enforcement. It would be easy to throw us in a conversation with a sheriff deputy or a police officer, but at the end of the day, if I wasn't a game warden, I probably wouldn't be in law enforcement. And we work with these other agencies, but what we do is very specialized, and it's a much different style of law enforcement than what they do. And I think people maybe don't understand that fully sometimes when they are contacted by a wildlife officer, because we look like a police officer, we act like police officers, we enforce laws like police officers do, but at the end of the day, and if you look at even some of the things that have happened in our society in the last 5-10 years, law enforcement in general has changed dramatically. But I think the culture in the Division of Wildlife, law enforcement specifically, has changed also. And we've become much more of a educate first type of law enforcement. And look, if you're out there and you screw up, you might get a ticket. We all know that. But we really want to focus on proactive enforcement. So the analogy I like to compare it to that people can probably understand is like, why does a trooper sit in a median, right? They're not out there just to write tickets. They're out there to be visible. They're out there to be seen. What do you do when you drive past a trooper in a median, right? You slow down. So there's a lot more to law enforcement than just writing tickets, right? So it's us being out there, being visible, being present. We're rooted deeply in our communities. We have educational programs. Now, if we encounter a sportsman or woman through a wildlife complaint or a violation, we're going to investigate that. But I think our culture has changed, where we're much more understanding now that if you did something really bad, you're probably going to get a ticket. If we take your history into consideration. If you're a new hunter, how many licenses have you bought? How many animals have you checked in? We're much more likely to give someone an educational approach who needs that educational experience, and we're the subject matter experts. So that's a huge part of our job that I think really sets us in a different category from your average law enforcement officer.
I remember it was in a previous podcast episode that we recorded, and I can't remember if it was when we had Quinlivan come in or it might have been the Waterfowl podcast, but like if someone is out there and they're aiming for one type of waterfowl, hit another. Self-reporting.
Yeah.
And how important that is.
Yeah. It can be huge. It's going back to Josh with education. Education isn't just in the field the moment that we encounter a person hunting or fishing or a violation. We do educational programs. We're visible in our counties. We go to our county fairs. We go to schools. We want people to know who the county officer is. We want you to understand like what the laws we're enforcing, the importance of it too. I have found, I hope Josh backs me up here, but if people understand why we have bag limits, season dates, the importance of that conservation, the backbone of it, they're more likely to take it seriously and follow those rules. And maybe if they're with folks or other people who don't have that same opinion, I hope that those people help me do my job when I'm not even there. Encourage people to make the right decision. And going back to that self-reporting, having the foresight to be like, man, I messed up. We'll call it in.
Yeah.
So, Josh, you mentioned the fact that you always wanted to be a game warden, but what you didn't really get into, and I know this from our friendship, is that you're very passionate about conservation and conservation for tomorrow and the educational component. You spoke a little bit to that, but you've done a lot of amazing programs when you were in your county of assignment in Union County, and we still see that desire out of all of our districts, but specifically speaking to you, District 1, and all of the educational outreach. What would you think, in your opinion, is one of the most beneficial or enjoyable outreaches that you like to do?
Well, I mean, this is a complicated question, really, because there's so many paths that a hunter could take to mentor a young up and coming hunter, and an older person, a more mature person. I'm telling you, like the middle-aged class right now, people who are my age in their 30s and 40s, there's a ton of people who have a high interest in shooting sports, fishing, hunting, camping, and a lot of these folks are moving to the rural parts of Ohio, but they grew up in the city, and they don't have family members or maybe friends who taught them these things when they were kids. So in my experience, we started this Learn to Hunt program, like I guess probably on our 10th or 11th year now in Union County, and it's been successful, but it's a big commitment. And it's really just, if I could sum it all up briefly, I guess it's really just providing an opportunity for someone who has a high level of interest and providing them a comfort level where they feel safe and they feel like they're willing and able to try something new, and we kind of remove all the reasons to be scared, like break down the barriers. You're trained. It's in a safe, controlled setting.
Ask all the questions you might be embarrassed to ask
otherwise. And everybody else that's in that room is in the same circumstance, so that they can share that learning experience with other people that are in a similar situation that they may be in. But it's been really rewarding. I mean, I don't really work much with that Learn to Hunt program anymore, but I did help get it started. But I've found now that, I got 2 teenage daughters that are in high school, and there is no shortage of people who want to hunt. Like I have a list a mile long of just my kids' friends that just the other night I was talking to one of my kids' friends. They want me to take them deer hunting this year. Yeah. Never hunted before. And I'm telling you, like, this apprentice licensing has been one of the best things ever. My daughter just turned 16. She's never bought a hunting license, like an actual hunting license, because she's hunted under the apprentice license for so many years, and she's been with me. Well, she can hunt on her own this year. when she turned 16. So we're like really excited about, what that opportunity is going to bring. And, but I'm just passionate about it. I try to latch on to a couple new hunters every year and get them out there, provide them opportunity. Sometimes, last year I took a guy who he'd been archery hunting for 10 years. He's actually my dental hygienist's husband. That's how I found out about
You're
this.
meeting people everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, man, just have the guy text me. Just have your husband text me or call me. I'll take him deer hunting. I took him. After 10 years of trying to kill his first deer, he put a nice mature doe down in an hour in late January, and just was tickled pink with the opportunity. And like, I would rather, for me, that's a more enjoyable experience than at this point in my life than going out and actually doing it myself. So
yeah, I'm getting to the same place until it comes to turkey.
Yeah,
and then,
we've had that conversation.
And then I'm still a little, I want to be on the trigger.
You brought up the apprentice license because one of the reasons we asked you here is we wanted to talk about the season and changes and things, and so that maybe we give folks an update, but we're not just talking to hunters who are going into their X amount of seasons, but we're talking about new hunters, the apprentice license. Let's break that down on what that means and what the stipulations are around it.
Right. So the apprentice hunting license program, it's been around for, I don't know when it started, probably 15 years now at least. It used to be limited to 3 consecutive years in a row, I believe. And then
that's
you were
correct.
required to take hunter education, where we removed that hurdle. And now you can buy it unlimited. But it comes with some strings attached that you have to be accompanied by another licensed hunter age 21 or older.
Yeah.
Which it works out great for parents and kids who are busy and maybe don't have time to take hunter ed. But you got to have that competent, experienced mentor.
It gives them a foundation to work with.
You talk about adult onset hunting, and I've had a number of adult onset individuals that I've mentored for different species. And even after my first thing especially with the adult onset is, hey, do a hunter education course, whether it's in person or online. Go ahead, do that so you're familiar with the basis of what we're going to go do. But most of them enjoy buying the apprentice license because it still allows them the comfort level of knowing they're going to be right by my side.
Yeah, for sure.
And it is a really nice resource to have. And to your point, it's unlimited now. So it is not uncommon for me to have 4 or 5 years of hunting experience with an individual, and they're still buying the apprentice license because that's still a barrier for them. They're still not quite to the level where they just want to go and do it on their own.
And I'll say something that may not be popular, but I want to address it because, the hunting culture today we went from a very social activity to now a very individualistic activity
in a lot of ways.
And it's a lot of it's been driven by social media and YouTube and hunting channels and stuff like that. But deer hunting specifically used to be a very social activity, and now it's got your lease, got your food plot, or you own property, and you get your name and your deer, and it's kind of like a me mentality. I hate to say it that way, but I would argue that bringing people to your locations and introducing them to it has actually probably opened up more doors for me and more opportunities to hunt different areas than just if I were to hunt my property all by myself and just worry about what I got going on. So it's almost like, I'm trying to say, it's almost like
the juice is worth the squeeze in mentoring anyone, period.
Yeah, it's just been really rewarding.
Yeah, so. Even if it's not a successful hunt, again, I don't know that you go into it looking for, you have to set your guidelines on what is the definition of a successful hunt. And for me, just getting someone there to enjoy a sunrise or a sunset, that's a successful opportunity. Just going through the barrier of I'm at least willing to pursue or be part of the pursuit of whatever species you're after.
There's a lot of people who have never snuck out into the woods in the morning and watched the woods come to alive as the sun rises. I mean, that in itself is a pretty cool experience. You know, even if you don't harvest an animal.
Pretty big reason that you go, right?
Yeah.
You know, the rest
Exactly.
is a cherry on the top.
I think we all were, the three of us, Abby's in the realm of the adult onset.
I am the onset definition.
Yeah.
We take for granted, and the story that's in my head, because I've got, my son's different age classes, teaching him how to hunt. I'm doing the same thing that my dad did to me. We're walking through the woods. My son steps on a twig, and it's loud. You guys, I can see your faces. And I turn around, and I give him the dad look, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm supposed to be quiet. You're supposed to be quiet. We're in here quiet. We take that for granted. Like, it's a funny story that most hunters just heard me say, and they're like, that was me too. And if you didn't have someone teaching you that, you have to learn all those lessons the hard way. So going back to the mentorship and the apprentice license, it's nice to have somebody with you, even if you're adult onset, because let's be honest, no one wants to fumble through things and mess it up and then go 10 years deer hunting and not be successful. Right. It's great to have that, and it's an ability for you as a hunter to grow. I mean, you haven't come full circle if you haven't been the person in the armchair watching the other person shoot. You know what I mean? Yeah. You haven't completed that cycle until you've done that.
For me, it was nice to have a person to say or ask, like, why do you do that? Why do you do that? I'm a why person. Why are we doing this?
Kids
why are we
do the
doing
same
it this
thing.
way?
Why aren't we talking with our hands while we're turkey hunting?
Yeah, well, directing air traffic is what she was doing. And kids do the same thing. They're going to ask you why. And, going back into, we're going to talk about regulations and stuff here. The whys are important. And as our agency knows, we need to explain those whys, whether it's on a one-on-one personal when you're sitting in a tree stand or when you're talking to a large group. People want to know the why. So segue into talking about some of the updates on this hunting season. Josh, you got some high notes we want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, not any real major changes, I guess. One big change for public hunting areas specifically is we increased the antlerless bag limit on public hunting areas, which you can get a list of all of our public hunting areas on our website. But mostly our state land and any lands administered or controlled by the Division of Wildlife, from 1 antlerless deer to 2 antlerless deer. And deer management permits can be used now to kill those deer as well. So
that's good. That is a direct reflection of, again, our constituency voicing what they are seeing in the field and what their desire is for the management practices. And luckily we're able to rise to that occasion and provide that opportunity to them.
Yeah. And so we're talking about the fall and the updates. Like Josh said, we don't have a huge amount of stuff that's going on, but we're selling this out the same as we're talking apprentice licenses. Any new hunters, and I hope there's new hunters listening in right now. If you haven't picked up a copy of our hunting regulations, you can get that at probably anywhere that sells a license. You can also download the app.
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
It's on the app.
Yep.
It's one of the resources on the app. You can go to our website and get it. But I kind of think that we should break down. Let's walk through the hunting regulations, like from front to back, because you start with an overview, then it gets into more details, and then the most important page, all your county officers in the back, right? I have a shameless plug.
Well, I mean, summer blew by. I can't believe hunting season's upon us already.
Yeah.
But, our season opener will start September 1st with squirrel season and dove season. And then, it's always an exciting time of the year. It's hot, but people are
ready to go.
It's kind of like the opposite of cabin fever. It's like we've been outside all summer. Now it's like doing summer things.
Yeah.
Now let's put on some camo and get in the woods.
Yeah.
So, that's always just the icebreaker for the year. We've had a little bit of a down dove season the last couple of years. So, we're kind of keeping an eye on that, I think. But, bag limits haven't changed. Season dates haven't changed on that for now. But we're hoping that we see some birds flying this fall.
Things to think about when we hit these things, we'll probably, because I got another officer in the room, we're going to lean on some of the things that we see in the field that maybe if you hear this, you can curb those problems. Dove season, some of the violations that we commonly see, Josh?
I mean, the most common thing with doves is probably going to be an unplugged gun, or a hip certification not being completed, which is required. Easy thing to do, answer a few questions when you buy your license.
Where does someone get a hip certification?
You can use our app. It depends really how you purchase your license, but at any license agent, point of sale, app, whatever process you choose to make the purchase from, you can tag that HIP certification on your
Right. Remind me what
purchase.
that means again.
The HIP
Yeah, it's
Hunter. Oh my gosh, I just had a moment. What is it? We said it wrong when we were talking with
Mike Irvin.
Mike, and now he's going to listen and know that we got it wrong again.
Yeah.
oh no.
Harvest Information Program, right?
That's it.
Harvest
Yes.
Information
Yeah.
Program.
Okay.
So and it's simple questions, and again, it doesn't cost any money, but
it's
it is
free.
required.
For migratory bird.
Yep. So it's hey, did you hunt doves last year? How many did you harvest ducks? Same thing. Geese,
Yeah.
same thing, and moving on. And unplugged shotguns, it's something that happens all the time for migratory game birds. You have to have a firearm that is a shotgun that's only capable of holding 3 rounds, and we see it a lot with new hunters too. Or last year I had it in early teal season. Guy brought a guy, and that's my other gun, and it was unplugged. And now you've put us in a hard spot because we have a violation.
Right.
We're trying to understand how to handle that. So just make sure you got your guns plugged.
What is the reason for only 3?
Well, I'm not a historian, I guess, but
It's been around for a long
It's
time.
just-
It's a federal
my
rule.
assumption would be it's an
Got
old law.
it.
It's a federal guideline that the states have to, basically abide by as well. So we just take their law and put it into our state regulations. But it's really a kind of a fair chase thing, I think. So, you don't want and you still sometimes kind of see this, unfortunately, in the marsh or in the dove field. People are just blasting at stuff that they probably really shouldn't. It's not a really good, ethical, safe shot.
Gotcha.
So
Yes,
it kind
I
of
think
limits your opportunity a little bit.
Yeah. I think the general rule of thumb is that if you couldn't get it accomplished on the first 3,
Yeah.
if you had more, the judgment of your shot just
A
continues to
fourth
go
Might go
down.
down.
change the
It
outcome.
just continues to go down. Yeah, and a 4th shot is generally not going to help you
Gonna-
succeed anymore. It's just going to set you up for failure on a larger scale.
Increase the injury to the animal less than the harvest, right? Because you have
Gotcha.
to think effective ranges, and then you're shooting at a duck that's now 60 yards away,
Right.
and you may injure that duck, and it may die, but you're probably not going to harvest it.
Right.
So we want people to be able to be successful.
You mentioned fair chase, and that's in a hunter code of ethics, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Can
Yep.
you expand on what that is?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends again on what species you're targeting. But if we're looking at maybe waterfowl, it would be if you're under the power of a motorboat and you come up on some ducks or geese. Obviously that's unlawful, but it's
Considered unethical.
most fair chase issues that are unethical are also illegal.
Oh, okay.
So kind of covers you on both terms there, but.
So that's our early season. Like dove is a highlight.
Yep.
Squirrel season. There's people who are going to get out, but I think folks really like it when the leaves come off to start chasing
So
squirrels.
teal and goose comes in the following weekend on I think the 6th.
September 6th for this year.
It's in for about a week through the 14th, so that's the early goose and teal season.
Yep.
Then really that kind of leads us into the end of September, kicks off our archery season. I think that's on the 27th. Always opens on a Saturday.
And our archery season's basically the whole month of October, November, December, and January. You get and a little bit of February and the end of January. It's over 4 months long. So it's if you want an opportunity to shoot a deer, you have it.
I think some people get confused, like they think archery season goes out when gun season comes in, but archery season never closes until the end of the season on February 1st of 2026. So, I mean, it's a ton of opportunity. And I tell you, man, with the technology out there and some of these crossbows, and I use a tripod with my kids. Both my kids killed deer when they were 7, and it was legitimately like them hunting at 7 years old. So, there's, again, trying to break the barriers of being able to provide opportunities for anybody who wants to try to participate.
Crossbows are awesome. I'm proud to say that we allow our hunting population to utilize them because there are some states that don't. But, generally speaking, you want to be proficient with any hunting implement that you're in the field with. A crossbow, once you have dialed in that crossbow at whatever you feel comfortable shooting, so 20 yards, 30 yards, once that's dialed in and it's on, you're pretty much ready to go. Traditional compound archery, those things take a lot of more practice to be ethical and confident at different distances. Crossbows are a game changer for across the board because, if you've got a busy life, you can go out, you can shoot the crossbow a couple times, be comfortable with it, understand the mechanisms the safety mechanisms and things that keep you and others safe in the field, but you're out there enjoying the changing of all the seasons that come with a 4-month deer season. It starts and it may be warm into a traditional Ohio fall into 6 inches of snow.
What is your favorite period of the deer season?
Oh man. There's nothing quite like a November morning, a crisp November morning. So that also coincides with the breeding season of white-tailed deer, so known as the rut. So the male deer, the bucks, are a little bit more susceptible to hunting, just because they've got other things on their mind. They're willing to travel.
Yep.
It's a diurnal or a nocturnal species, and it's very common at 10 o'clock in the morning to have a mature 4.5-year-old buck walk by your stand that you may never have even seen before because he's 3 miles from his home base and he's just cruising.
Yeah.
As a duck hunter, deer hunter, all hunter, I like hunting the marsh because you might never know what duck you're going to see.
Yeah.
That's what the rut is. You can see a buck that you've never seen before because their range expands. They're looking for does to breed. You could be out there after your target buck and see a buck that's way cooler.
I live in the city of Columbus, and we have a high deer population in my neighborhood, and I even notice around rut more bucks showing up in our neighborhood.
More chaos.
Yeah. A lot more chaos, a lot more
they're
people
chasing, they're more
active on next door.
Yeah.
You talked about, when your favorite time to hunt is. It just reminded me of something I wanted to bring up is I tell people this all the time. I don't focus on the amount of times I go hunting. I focus on when and the quality of what that hunt is going to be.
Absolutely.
Because, let's face it, most of our lives, time is just as or more valuable than money right now. And if I'm gonna pick a time to go out and hunt, either for myself or with another person, I'm gonna really try to wait for the right circumstances and conditions that I can capitalize on the time I'm investing in that opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. I think a lot of people, maybe especially new hunters, they just think, I just got to get out there. Well, look at the weather, look at the wind.
There's a lot that goes into the planning and preparation. I remember and this was in the spring, John took me turkey hunting, but I remember talking to Jordan going, what do I need here? Do you have anything I can borrow? Because I don't own things, but I want to learn and I want to practice before I make an investment too.
100%.
And we got out of the truck that morning. It was very windy, and I was immediately, this is not going to be so great.
Right.
Well, you can't always prepare for the weather, but if you can, it's beneficial to have a quality hunt for sure.
I'll say, last year I hunted a lot, and this is not traditional for me being a rabbit hunter because in January and February I'm rabbit hunting, but last year in January at the end of the season, we were doing a lot of doe management, and we were harvesting a lot of deer, and it was cold. There was snow on the ground for 2 weeks straight. Deer were hitting corn, and we were taking kids out, we were taking new hunters out, and we were reducing the population, and it was really a win-win because it was a great opportunity for these first-time hunters and these kids, and in some cases some adults were there too having fun. But we put a lot of deer down, helped out a landowner, and filled our freezers.
Yeah. Those late season hunts are a lot of fun. I'm sitting here trying to think about your question to me, and it's like, I don't know that I can really narrow it down even after giving you the rut answer.
There's just something nice about each
I took my 5-year-old out with
time.
me last year during gun season, and we were in a blind, so there was more movement that he could have in the blind. But having my 5-year-old son there with me, and we harvested a doe, and the blind was shaking with excitement. And
if I remember correctly, because you talked about it on the podcast, he saw the biggest doe that ever existed.
It was the biggest doe ever known by man.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be in front of us at 80 yards. So
since we're still talking deer, let's go ahead and I know that we haven't had any traditional time frames for our youth season, our gun, our bonus gun.
Yep.
The other thing I just want to interject, and I like where we're going with this, but consult the regs, because we're throwing some dates out here, but in the DSA, our deer season has different dates, and our deer season in DSA actually opens, I think, September 13th.
DSA being the disease surveillance area.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And
So
actually, the last couple of years, we've had a few folks self-report deer harvest to us because they saw that opening DSA date, which is 2 weeks early, in the regs. They went out, harvested a deer, and then they're like, "Oh no!"
Oops.
Yeah.
And so it is important to pay attention to the details. You probably won't get into the DSA a whole lot, but we did add 11 townships to the DSA, and I think 4 different counties this year. So it expanded, not greatly, but it did expand a little bit, and that does include some public hunting areas like the Delaware wildlife area as well in Delaware County. So, but moving through the whitetail deer hunting season. The archery opener on September 27th stays until February 1st. Then the youth season will come in on November 22nd for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, then close again on the 23rd. That'll take us right into the next week of December 1st, where our statewide deer gun season opens up, runs through December 7th. We have an extra weekend, which is our traditional extra weekend. The deer get a weekend off, and then we're right back at it.
extra firearm weekend.
Yeah, extra
firearm weekend. The deer get a weekend off there, and it's December 20th through the 21st on a Saturday and Sunday. Then to cap it all off for the firearms, we have our traditional muzzleloader season, January 3rd through January 6th.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
I always
a fun
enjoy the
one, too.
muzzleloader season. It's a
Absolutely.
4-day season. It's normally cold. The deer kind of back on a real heavy feeding pattern. It's really good. If
No.
you could get the snow, man, it's a way
if
to
you
be
get the
successful.
snow, it's just so much fun.
But you can still do archery during
whole
those
time.
weeks
You can,
too.
yeah.
It
Yep.
doesn't.
Yep.
Just
flip
make sure
off.
you wear your orange.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, for the folks out there, new hunters, if you're going to hunt during any of the firearm seasons, an orange vest, coat, jacket, coveralls, solid hunter orange, a camouflage hunter orange. I've said that a lot in my hunter education
Yep.
courses.
Yep.
It's required. The minimum that is required. And
Youth season used to get me all the time, because before I had kids,
Yeah.
I would be bow hunting during that time frame, and I'd get to my spot and I'm like, wait a minute, and I'd look at the reg book and I go, uh-oh, I don't have any orange.
Yeah. So make sure you get your orange on. It's not huge, and the vest that you can put right in your pocket. Those you see them at the gas stations sometimes. Even those are what we consider to be the bare minimum for legality, and you can go hunting in that. So it's good.
For those unfamiliar with the reason we have hunter orange, why is it hunter orange and not hunter blue or?
So it's a color that doesn't occur naturally. Everyone's seen what we call high vis or hunter orange, similar to like the iridescent high vis green that ODOT workers wear now. But nothing in Ohio in the woods that time of year. The only thing you might get confused as is a slow-moving vehicle sign on the back of a tractor.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Or an ill-placed construction boat.
Yeah. If there's a barrel in the woods. But that way, so people can see, especially when the leaves start coming off and visibility becomes higher. If someone's looking at a deer and they want to take that shot, as we teach them in Hunter Ed, you look at your target, what's in front of and what's beyond it before you squeeze the trigger or let the arrow fly. And now, if you see orange in the background, your brain should be thinking, "Oh, there's a person back there. We need to take some considerations."
Yeah, I mean, and hunting's relatively, statistically speaking, is very safe. But most of those incidents occur in low light conditions at dusk and dawn. So that orange vest is extremely visible at that time.
Yes, it is.
Even without artificial light. I mean, you're going to see it moving through the field or the woods.
Yep. So that kind of sums up our deer season, which is the big kind of thing a lot of folks are out there chasing.
Right.
But since you're a rabbit hunter, I know you like them beagle dogs. So when's rabbit season kick off, or our small game?
So our small game opener kicks off on November 7th, which is a Friday. It's always the first Friday in November. Just happens to fall on the 7th this year. So that rough grouse kicks in, rabbit, ringneck pheasant, chucker, bobwhite quail in select counties where you can still hunt bobwhite quail. And if you're interested in the bobwhite quail, make sure you check. Squirrel's been in since September at that point. Squirrel's already open.
But just make sure you check the map. I'm gonna again, a shameless plug for Ohio. If you've never hunted in another state, and seen other regulations. Now, granted, we try to simplify our regulations every year. Josh, help me out. The law section looks at our regulations every year and says, how can we make this easier for people to understand? So we try to keep it as simple as possible so that we don't have issues in the field, you know?
Yeah, it's actually a year-long process because, you know, as we read this throughout the year, we'll come up with, well, where's this in the regs? And then it'll get sent up the chain, and we'll make a note of it, and it gets put in for the publication next year. And you'll see some red stuff in our regs this year that is not a law change, but it's new to the regulations booklet, just because it was valuable information that we felt, okay, the public, this wasn't historically in the regs, but the public needs to know this. So it is a paraphrased version of our laws. It's not the actual law itself. You have to look that up in the Ohio Administrative Code, but it's pretty much the nuts and bolts, and it'll keep you on the straight and narrow if you read the book. So, yeah. But the small game season, I just got to say, like October, November, if you're a sportsman or sportswoman, October and November is probably the 2 best months of the year. I mean, just hands down. I mean, saw guys start biting. I mean, there's just so much to do. Like, I mean, as an avid outdoorsman, I get torn sometimes on what I'm going to spend my time, you know? Like, because I want to be out deer hunting. I want to be out running dogs. I want to be out, you know, training dogs or, you know, putting up tree stands or whatever. And then you start hearing about buddies catching saw guy on the lake. And it's like, man, October and November just is 2 beautiful months. Just
beginning of October is also
really enjoy it.
Our fall turkey season.
Fall turkey starts, I believe, October.
I think it's
October 1st through October 26th. So pretty short fall season in select counties, but still a great opportunity to maybe harvest a fall bird for a Thanksgiving table.
Yeah.
The more traditional, you know, path.
We talked about it when we talked about turkeys, I think, just maybe briefly how the fall hunt is different.
Yeah, we did.
So, you know, I take this as encourage somebody, if you've ever been interested in the fall turkey hunt, go try it. It's a lot of fun. And there's plenty of public property in these open counties, especially southeastern Ohio and eastern Ohio, where you can go chase fall birds. So if you're interested, give it a try. Let's talk a little bit about waterfowl. I don't want to get too I don't want to get too into it because we can't. I don't know where you're listening right now. You could be in one of the 3 zones, and you really need to look at the dates. It's really important, but it breaks down into different. The one that is statewide that I want to pitch is our early October season, our youth and veteran season. So that allows.
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm not traditionally a waterfowl hunter, but I am a military veteran, and when actually this was a federal law that was passed that the states adopted, and I'd hunted a little bit on the Ohio River back in the day when I was in Mexicali County, but it's been an awesome, rewarding experience. I go every year during the military youth weekend with a friend and a couple kids and another veteran actually, and it's the only day of the year I usually just go one day. It's the only day I
We appreciate you buying the stamp for the one day.
It's really a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's a blast. But for me, I don't have all the gear. I don't, you know, I mean, like it's a lot of work to get out in the marsh and set up early and hope that you get a shot. I did goose hunt one day last year too, so twice last year.
Attaboy.
But it's that military youth weekend is a really, really cool opportunity. And there's people that come with us that don't even hunt. They just
watch.
They just, I mean, they're just there to kind of almost like assist and help us be successful. And it's really about the kids, but it's awesome that the veterans can get out there and enjoy it with the kids in that situation.
And after that would be the first opportunity aside of the early September seasons. You know, that's what we would consider for waterfowl hunters as the big ducks, because that allows you to shoot. Oh. It's no longer just teal. We're harvesting wood ducks, mallards, Canada geese. The
that's
big
your
gamut.
6 duck bag limit.
Yeah,
comprised of.
Mm-hmm. So if you're new to waterfowl hunting, traditionally speaking, this is maybe game warden lingo a little bit here, but we always talk about the early season, the first split, and the second split. And if you're a waterfowl hunter, you're going to understand that. This year, the first split is pretty. I mean, it's all the zones open on the same day. October 18th is your big day for the first split. So, and that's going to stay in. Depending on your area, you know, towards the end of October, early November, you're going to get a couple weeks there for that first split of duck and goose hunting.
Yeah, depending on what zone you're in. And then after that, when the second split, sometimes your goose is going to come in before the duck, and sometimes I think maybe a duck and goose opens at the same time for some of those zones. But just make sure you you take a look at those dates and put them on your calendar.
And just kind of, I guess, generally speaking, you're going to have to look in the regs. I'm not going to read them out line by line here, but generally speaking, that's going to be your late season hunt. It's going to be November, December through basically January.
Yeah.
Goose season might go into February in some cases, but that late season opportunity in the cold weather. So
the only other thing, we've kind of touched on most of the hunting stuff, fur taking. Trapping season is going to kick off on the 10th, right? November 10th.
Let me double check that there. Yeah, you're right. No, November 10th. Yeah, that's not a Friday, right? It's always November 10th.
Yeah.
So that kicks off our not only our trapping season, but our fur bear hunting season as well, which includes fox, raccoon, skunk, possum, weasel. Mink and muskrat does come in on the 10th, but not to be confused with our beaver and river otter season.
Yeah.
That comes in much, much later when the weather's cold, hopefully by then, on December 26th, the day after Christmas. And, I guess those season dates are a little later because, we want to harvest those fur-bearing animals when their pelts are in prime condition, when hopefully the weather cools down and their pelts fill out.
It's so much nicer to carry a 40 to 50 pound beaver out when it's cold.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it when it's hot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I really enjoy beaver trapping, but it's fun to do when it's cold.
The sled slides a lot better on snow.
You're guaranteed. Guaranteed it does that.
Absolutely.
So after you've done all your hunting, what is your favorite meal or thing you have cooked with your game?
Josh is a big eater.
Yeah. I'm a big eater and a big cook. I'll try not to take that personal, but
no, I mean in a good way. But we've been. So I know this is your first time on the podcast, but we like to talk about. Yeah. I mean, field to table is important. It's super important.
Yep. So I do all my own processing. I'm the cook in the house. My wife, she's not much of a cook, so she won't get mad that I say that.
She's not going to listen, right?
Oh, she whiz.
she won't get mad that I said that. But I guess kind of starting off in the beginning, I mean, it's really hard to beat a dove popper wrapped in bacon. Yeah. I mean, that's one of my favorite things. And probably, I mean, I love dove hunting, don't get me wrong, but I got a pellet grill now, and I'm like, those doves are really, really good. So I really look forward to that every year. Last year I made some some breakfast sausage out of venison. And it was probably the biggest surprise on my table from last hunting season, if I had to be honest.
Did you add fat? Did you add pork fat or beef fat to that?
Added some pork sausage and some pork fat and some seasoning that I bought, and it was just phenomenal. I mean, we're like a meat and potatoes family. I mean, we've been eating biscuits and gravy almost every week since deer season closed.
I'm gonna get this. I'll jump in. Today was my youngest son's first day of pre-K.
Okay.
And my wife has a board that talks about what do you want to be when you grow up, stuff, so she can look back over years. And there was a slide for what's your favorite food. So I asked him at the dinner or breakfast table, what's your favorite food? And he just looked at me through his bowl of cereal and said, meat. I said, I've done something right. He just said meat. So
you can have anything you want today.
Yeah, meat. And that's how that's what we have for dinner. We're just having meat, guys. Yeah. Like it comes in many different ways.
Yeah. I'll say, the biggest thing with wild game is maybe your viewership's heard this from you, but I mean, it's preparation.
Field care.
From field to freezer or however you. If a lot of people can deer meat, I mean, which is a phenomenal way to store it, by the way.
Yeah.
And no matter how you cook it, you have to be patient, right? And a lot of people, I think, they just it's almost like an urban legend or a myth, like, I've got to cook it to this temperature. And I have not found that to be the case with wild game personally. Like a tenderloin, I pull a tenderloin, a backstrap of a deer. I pull it off at 125, and on my pellet grill, I mean, I pull it off at 125. I let it sit,
which would be rare.
It would be. It's cooked, and I let it rest for 10 minutes. If my wife prefers hers a little more done, done,
mine too.
I pull it off at 130 for her. So when I process my back straps, I keep all this in mind.
I'm
right?
going
so,
to eat at Josh's. He's like taking
Oh.
real
Right,
care. I'm like,
right.
that looks done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
mean,
poke it with my
so
finger
even
and
when
go,
I
"Yeah."
process it, I process my back straps and usually in thirds.
Yeah. I
That
do the
way
same.
I can do, a section of backstrap the way I like it, and I can do a section of backstrap
I do the same thing. I
the
got
way my wife and
Dad's
kids like
plate, and then I've got everyone else's
it.
plate.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I think
Yeah.
for me, it's always changing. You asked the favorite recipe. I have a favorite recipe for everything that we've discussed in the regs.
Yeah.
But I think it's, Josh mentions the dove poppers. Like September 2nd, if I'm not looking over a plate of dove poppers coming off the grill, it's a sad day. So
I pre-buy bacon.
In preparation for dove opener. Okay, folks, if you're listening, I guess I've never thought of that. I buy ammo. I go check the fields.
Yeah.
Josh goes
is
to
going get
Kroger and pre-buys bacon.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, Abby, I guess what would be, because we're gonna get you a deer this year, or we're gonna
Yay!
try, right?
Yes.
So, what are you looking forward to the field to table aspect?
Is all of it a bad question?
No, I mean a bad answer. No,
I like learning. I am a perpetual, my brain's always active. I am excited to go out and just, if we do it on my dad's property north of here, being able to do that from their land would be kind of cool to see.
Every single time you go into that freezer, it will be a hunt remembered.
Yeah.
When you pull out the next pound of ground venison for whatever it is.
Yeah.
But every single time I go to my freezer and I open it up, I'm reminded of the hunt.
I'm making room in my garage for a deep freezer because I
Okay.
really want to
There you
have
that
start
see,
storing
preparation.
things.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Buy
Perfect.
bacon and buy a freezer.
Sounds
Copy
like
that.
it.
I go through ground venison. Once the fall starts and we start deer hunting, I go through ground venison as fast as I put it in the freezer.
Yeah.
I make a pot of chili
It's so
every
good.
week. Every week, all through the fall and winter, I make
I
a
gave
pot
it
of
to
chili.
my toddler and he was all about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
sloppy joes, chili. I mean, there's so many easy things you can do that. I mean, honestly, you're not going to be able to tell
If
the
my
difference.
kids eat a regular hamburger, they think something's wrong with it because
Yeah.
they just don't know any different because we're eating venison.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what we eat.
I've got a lot into prepping on the front end. I know you guys did last year too, Josh,
Yeah.
making those burgers on the front end. So
Yeah.
when you're grinding the meat, go ahead and pre-patty burgers and freeze them like you get from the store. And we
Yep.
do meatballs. I'll do Salisbury steak that way and mini meatloafs. So,
My favorite venison recipe is the one that John makes for two reasons. He makes a pastrami that is absolutely delicious.
it's not my recipe, but I do make it.
First reason. Second of all, I don't have to do anything with it, and I can just show up to his house and get in his freezer and take 3 or 4 of those packs.
He does know where it's at. So there's
And,
that.
I mean, that's a good cut of meat right there.
So let's get, we're all going to get hungry talking like this.
So one of the things that I would like for you two to talk to us about is Game Check, and I use the app. I love the app for Game Check. It is an awesome resource. But I'm sure you guys see all kinds of things that occur with the Game Check. Can you provide any guidance on Game Check?
Yeah, I mean, we see the gamut out there in the field, and there's a couple different, probably because there's a couple different ways you can do it. By far the easiest is if you have electronic license and tags, you have our app downloaded on your phone. By far the easiest is to just go ahead and once you recover and take possession of your deer or turkey, go ahead and submit that game check on our app and you get that confirmation, 6-digit confirmation number. You're good to go. You can now take possession, field dress, transport that animal, and it doesn't even have to be tagged. It's game checked electronically, and all you have to do is provide that number to a game warden. If you're stopped, you're good to go. If the one caveat would be is if you were to get home to your personal, your permanent residence, and let's say you want to hang that deer in the shed or the barn or something like that, it's no longer in your immediate possession. You would at that time want to go ahead and throw a tag on it with that confirmation.
Yeah.
And that confirmation number is the number. If you don't process your own deer, you take it to a deer processor. That's
Right.
the number they're gonna need. They won't take it without having that confirmation. So it's important.
Yeah, and
to get it done.
We see a lot of people show up to the processor
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh man, I haven't game checked my deer yet." Well, technically, you shouldn't have moved that You shouldn't have moved that deer. You shouldn't have field dressed that deer, and you shouldn't have loaded it in the back of your truck and drove it down the road
Yeah.
without at least doing something. So one other path is, let's say you don't have an electronic or a digital license or tag, you have a paper copy. The old traditional way is to still devalidate your paper copy, which is your county time, county harvest time, and what else is it?
County time, date.
Yeah, county time and date, which devalidates the permit. It's kind of a
what we used.
It's an insurance policy. It's a temporary tag. Then you can create your own. You can throw that on it if you want. I would recommend creating your own field tag. A Ziploc bag and a zip tie, whatever, around the leg.
Yeah, I definitely would echo creating your own, because those are susceptible to falling off as you are moving the deer after devalidating.
Right, and that's kind of two different things. Like, I think people feel like they got to use their permit.
Yeah.
You don't have to use your permit to temporary tag your deer. You can keep that in your wallet or in your vehicle or whatever, as long as it's devalidated. Once you
the check process starts immediately.
Yeah, as
once
soon
you
as
get to your animal,
as soon as you take possession of that animal, the game check process needs to start,
because you're going to start your process of field dressing. Moving the animal. Yeah, you have to take ownership of that deer.
Mm-hmm. And if this happens, we walk up on someone field dressing a deer, and I get it. I mean, we get excited. It's an adrenaline rush. We're taking pictures. I mean, I'm not going to say I haven't taken a picture of a deer before I've game checked it, because I have. So, game wardens are hunters too. We're realistic. Before you move it and transport it and field dress it, it needs to be either temporary tagged or permanently tagged with a confirmation number. And
the app. Go ahead. Sorry.
What about the app?
Oh, just the app makes it so much easier.
The app, it does. It's like it.
If you have service, yeah.
I can game check a deer on the app in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I did this year. I got down, took possession, checked it in on the app, and right after checking it in on the app, turned around and bought another tag.
Right.
And then I took care of my deer, got it back to the truck, and went right back into the field, trying to pursue another deer.
Yeah, and so we do still have the phone-in method.
You can still do it online as well.
You can still check it in online on our website, which is just as easy as the app, really. If you can get to our website pretty quick, have good service. The nice thing about the app is technically you don't even need to be connected. You don't even really have to have service. You can still game check that animal, and it's gonna lock in your date and time stamp. And once you hit connectivity, it's gonna push it through.
Yeah.
So it's really, really convenient. We've been pushing people that direction for the last couple of years, but at the end of the day, I mean, everybody's gonna do what they're comfortable with, and we just want to make sure people understand that process, because it can be a little confusing, especially for hunters who maybe have not done it that many times. So. And at any time, obviously, I mean, our numbers are in the back of the book. We are here to help you be successful. That's probably the biggest takeaway from me being here, I guess, is, don't be scared.
You're a resource
to call the game warden.
Yeah.
Our job is to answer your questions. We want to help you. We want you to succeed. I told when I was in the county, I told people this all the time. Like, there is no bigger advocate for sportsmen and sportswomen in the state of Ohio than the Ohio Wildlife Officer. Nobody. I mean, our livelihood depends on you participating in the outdoor recreation activities that we love and being successful. Like, we need you to succeed, and we need you to participate, and we'll do anything we can, to help you be successful.
I think Josh kind of has already answered my normal question for some of our internal folks is...
Yeah, he took it away from me.
Yeah, he kind of did. I normally ask everybody, Josh, like, what is the thing... You were an officer for years, and now you're behind the desk a little more than you'd like to be, probably.
Yeah.
But
somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it. You don't get to see the public, so you've talked to the public. And what would be the thing that you would want them to hear? Was that your pitch to them? Just, hey, wildlife officers are here to help, and
yeah, I mean, I always told that to the public, and when you're dealing with a criminal violation, potentially there's a fine line between lecturing a person and educating a person. So I always tried to tread that lightly, but I always wanted to leave my contacts on good terms. You know, even if it was a little
touch and go,
aggressive or contentious, or I don't know, whatever the word may be. But it's like, I always tried to leave on good terms with a handshake, and in most cases, again, this style of law enforcement we do, it's a very rare time when you interact with someone who really doesn't appreciate and respect what you do. Yep. And that's, again, what kind of sets our unique style of law enforcement aside from everybody else.
Yeah. And going back to if you get the regulation booklet, all the wildlife officers' names and numbers are in the back. Give your county officer a call for any questions. We were looking at the regs earlier. The other plug we got to put is there's a page in there now advocating for the WildOhio podcast. So, we've got publication out there now. Make sure you pick it up. Again, if you have the app, you can look at it through the app. It's in the resources tab, right, on the app. Yep. So you can pull up the current hunting regs, fishing regs, information's all at your fingertips.
We've kind of got some exciting information I feel like we could share with the public too about the podcast and
where we're going
in general and where we're going. So last episode we did was a video podcast at the State Fair with Governor Mike DeWine and Director Mary Mertz. Mm-hmm. And it went really well. We were really pleased with that product. So moving forward, we're going to make a bit of an adjustment, and we're going to start to video record our podcasts. So it will still be offered as audio only, but we will have a YouTube component where you can actually see more of us. So I'm kind of excited for that.
Who doesn't want that?
Right.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I mean, when we have folks in here, we have something to talk about that maybe a visual aid is going to be helpful. Mm-hmm. You're going to be able to see that. That'll be great. But Josh, appreciate you coming in.
Yeah,
we're going to wrap it up, but it was nice to have you here.
We usually do like a spark or a trivia, are we not?
Oh, I guess I did have a trivia.
You do?
Because we talked to Mike and this is probably not as good as your guys' trivia.
No, we're really good at it.
So we had Mike in here from Turn-in-a-Poacher from the TIP program, which Josh and you've submitted TIP forms, right? I've submitted TIP forms over the years. We use the word poacher a lot. I teach hunter eds. I've said that I don't know how many episodes. And there's a whole section in there about how we, reporting violations. TIP is in our hunter education program. I get hinky about the word poacher, right? And Josh is nodding his head because a lot of the people we may interact with who have a violation and maybe even get a ticket, would you call them, what you think, when you think in your head right now, if you're a listener, think of a poacher. Think of what that means to you. Josh?
Yeah, I think I got a good answer for that. So,
So is that the trivia question?
No, that's not the trivia.
Okay.
I'm prepping you for the trivia question. Okay. I'm prepping you.
Well, I've always kind of been of the opinion that the large majority of the people that we deal with are great people. What hunting does to you is put you in a high pressure situation and asks you to make a split second decision, and not everybody's prepared to make that split second decision. So it's for about us. When we're talking about, a poacher could be defined in many ways. We always, especially as officers, we look at intent. Mm-hmm. What was your intent? Did you understand that what you were doing was illegal? If you knowingly still went down that path, and a lot of time it's driven by ego and greed, that is kind of where I draw the line. Because you may get a ticket from us because you made a mistake, but that doesn't mean...
Yeah,
in my opinion, that you have met the definition of a poacher or even a bad person.
Yeah.
Right.
We deal with a lot of great people who make mistakes.
I mean, people get speeding tickets, and it doesn't make them a blown out criminal.
No. I mean, we
make mistakes.
But there are people actively, intentionally, purposefully, and knowingly going out and trying to unlawfully take and harvest and kill wildlife. And do it without anybody knowing about it. And those are the people that, kind of keep us up at night and really give us job security. And those are the big rocks that we want to get. And honestly, tying in TIP, like we can't do what we do without the public's help. If you see something, say something. It's really that easy. We want you to call us.
Absolutely.
There's things in place to help protect you. We'll do everything we can to keep you confidential if it comes to that. But a lot of people aren't afraid anymore. Like I'm an avid sportsman. I see somebody doing something illegal, I'm going to be proud to call a tip in because I know that I'm doing the right thing, and everybody else should too.
And before I ask my trivia question off of what you just said, call us. We're trained to do this. We spend a lot of time, energy, and effort in our officers. Take the information, get it to us. I don't like to see the public put themselves in a tricky situation. So call the county officer, call the tip hotline. But now, for my first time presenting a trivia question to you guys.
It's one way to be right.
Huh?
I said that's one way to be right.
Yeah, that's the only way.
Must be the first
the
one
only
John
way to be
gets,
right.
Abby.
Yeah. So entomology, how the origin of words. So do you know what the derivative of poacher or poaching is? And we're not talking about the eggs. So where the meaning or where the word came from, why it means what it means.
Yeah,
why
the Latin word?
Not the Latin word. Why it means what it means. So do you have any guesses on what part of the world this started in?
Well, everything seems to originate in Greece.
Nah, not that old.
Okay, not that old.
No. Josh is over here not wanting to play.
I'm out of the game. Sorry.
I feel like this is a North American driven terminology. I'm going to say, does it have something to do with stealing of valued goods, crops?
You're asking me questions. I'm asking you the question.
I don't know. I tap out.
Tap out.
And I phone a friend.
Abby?
John.
I'm thinking. You're asking what region of the world?
Yeah, so when it refers to what we're talking about, the taking of game illegally, right? That's what, when we use the word poacher, that's what we mean, or poaching.
I know this.
So where does that come from, and what did it mean before it meant that?
Maybe I don't know this. I'm thinking back over to England and the kings having the ownership of game, and I'm guessing that it was in reference to, it used to be that you could be hung if you harm so much as a hair on the back of any game species over there.
I don't know where he's getting at.
No, I know what you're saying, because I think it's still a law. I think the King of England owns all of the swans.
Yeah, so
for
some of the
reason.
terminology is evading me, but I'm going to, that's what my guess is that it's going to be private ownership.
Derived from British.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Broadly Northwest European.
It's kind of a combination of an English word of poach and the French word, which I'm not going to butcher the French language, but to poach. The French word means to pocket. Okay. And the English word means to push in or poke.
Okay.
So the idea was you're pushing in and poking into somewhere you're not allowed to be, and you're putting things in your pocket. Yeah. So you go in and you take game illegally and put it in a bag and leave.
Yeah.
So that's where those combination of words. So I nerded out on words to get a combination.
I like that. That's good.
I like that.
I didn't want to be the guy who didn't have a.
I like that you actually
question.
spent time doing that.
Yeah, well, I think words are important and it matters, and I like that the origin of those words, like it means what it means.
Yeah.
Like you sneak into places a lot of times, do things you're not supposed to do, and you take things you're not supposed to take.
Words and meaning evolve over time.
Yeah, so it did start there. And that was the whole king's deer and thing like that.
Yeah.
But well, that wraps up our episode. Josh, again, thank you for not playing trivia, but for everything else that you
I only have an associate's degree. I mean, what do you want from me?
Yeah, so do I, but so do I. So thank you guys for joining us on the WildOhio podcast. We hope that you enjoyed this episode with lots of different topics. Don't forget to subscribe to the WildOhio podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tell your friends, tell your family, and in the meantime, we hope to see you outside.
Legally.